It's always a pleasure to be with you all, and I really appreciate the chance to come back and talk to you on your day in Richmond. As Barry Duvall said, I can't say how important it is that you all continue to represent the voice of business before your legislative body. We hear from a lot of different interests, a lot of different people during the session, and sometimes the voice of business gets shouted down. And so there's an awful lot of you all, and you need to take advantage of strength in numbers by making your voice heard. There's issues that are important to you, that are important to your business. You need to make sure that we, as members of the Virginia House of Delegates and the Virginia State Senate, are aware. One of the nice things about serving in the Virginia legislature is that we're a part-time legislature, and that means we're back home in our communities 10 months out of the year. And that's a wonderful opportunity for you all to stop by and see your House member and your Senate member. I practice law in a little office down in what's known as Falmouth, Virginia, and if my car's in the parking lot, it's not unusual at all for people just to drop in and say, hey, how about this bill, or how about this for an idea, how about why'd you vote that way? It's helpful to hear from you all. So I encourage you to do that today and also the rest of the year. This legislative session, which just started last Wednesday, is a so-called short session. We only meet for about 46 days. We're supposed to get out on February 23rd. Hope we do. We are going over the budget amendments, which the governor's made to our 2-year budget. We're in the second year of the 2-year budget cycle. And in addition, there's a lot of significant bills that have been introduced. There's a couple that I'd like to chat with you about briefly, and again, coming back to this idea that if you're in agreement with them, using your resources to advance them. One is an issue that the Chamber has really been spearheading, and that's tort reform. Virginia has a pretty good system of tort liability legislation. Over the years, we've been consistently ranked as one of the better places to do business from a tort reform standpoint. But over the last couple of years, some other states have sort of been leaping ahead of us with different issues. And I think the Chamber recognizes that there's some things that could be done, and have come up with a pretty ambitious but a doable list of 5 major pieces of legislation. I think they're in your book, I noticed, that deal with different aspects of tort reform, lawsuit reform. They're going to be tough to get out of the House and Senate Courts of Justice committees. That's a tough group. And I would encourage you to focus on those members if you find out maybe somebody's from Salem has Greg Habib as your delegate. You need to talk to Greg. It may be somebody, I'm not just singling him out, but he did come to mind. There are a lot of, it's easy when you're over at the Capitol today, you'll get a little book and it ought to show you who the committee members are. And if you find that one of them is somebody that you know or somebody that is in your area, you need to contact them on this issue. The second issue, which is kind of come about at the last minute, more or less. It's something we've been talking about for 25 years, but I think we do have an opportunity to finally do something about it, and that's transportation infrastructure. For years and years, we've been talking about what needs to be done to generate more revenue for our roads and bridges and highways, and we never have been able to quite get across the line. There's sort of been a dichotomy between the House and the Senate. The House doesn't want to raise taxes, and the Senate does. And the House recognizes, it's not that people don't recognize that there's a need for additional revenue. The House, or my caucus in the House anyway, basically feels that people are paying a lot of taxes now, and the gasoline tax can be relatively regressive. Are there other places to get that money? And we've looked in the past at general fund revenue. The theory being that transportation is a core responsibility of state government. And therefore, to say you can't take any transportation money out of the general fund, which is the side of the budget that's generated from income tax and sales tax and fees and things like that, is somewhat disingenuous to me. And so we've come up with proposals in the past that generate additional money through the general fund part of the budget. Last year, the governor had a bill introduced that passed the House, was killed in the Senate, that would have taken just about $48 million a year in increments over a 5-year period of time from the general fund and put it into transportation. We really need more than that. And the governor's come up with a proposal, excuse me, that is really pretty bold in concept, I think. The main part of it is it does away with the gasoline tax, 17.5 cents a gallon, just completely eliminates it, and replaces it with a revenue neutral amount of sales tax. The sales tax would go from 5% to 5.8%. And that 0.8% in sales tax is the equivalent, generates the equivalent of what 17.5 cents per gallon does on the gasoline tax. The reason that's, I think, so important is the gasoline tax is a declining tax. Every year we get less money from the gasoline tax than we did the year before, primarily because cars get much better gas mileage now, and every year that's growing. And we're seeing a significant move to alternate fuel vehicles, hybrids, natural gas cars. The governor has, by executive order, directed that all the state trucks and cars be converted to natural gas. And this trend is going to continue. Natural gas is about 50% on a BTU basis of what gasoline is to operate a car. And people are going to move in that direction if they can. And so the gasoline tax, the tax on the amount of gasoline you buy, is going down each year. The sales tax, by contrast, generally goes up as the economy improves. So over a period of about 5 years, we will generate over $3 billion in new money for transportation under the governor's proposal. In the 5th year, it'll generate about $850 million and growing for transportation. It's the final plan is far from being final at this point. There's a lot of tweaks that need to be done. There'll be a lot of adjustments between the House and the Senate, but at least people are talking about something, and I think it has a pretty good opportunity. Again, it's an opportunity for you all as members of the chamber, as members of the business community, if you think it's important, to talk to your delegates and senators about the importance of doing something this year for transportation. It's an opportunity this year to get something significantly done. We didn't have quite as many bills put in this year as in years past, but we'll probably address 1,800 bills in the House, 1,900 bills. A lot of them are more or less housekeeping bills. They're not huge issues, but generally we'll find 25 or 30 take a lot of the news and take a lot of the attention, and you don't always know which ones those are going to be, and so I can't tell you for sure at this point what's going to be the big issues this session, other than transportation. But surely they will arise. And things happen at a very fast pace when we're in session, and I think that I said this last year and it didn't work out, but I think this is going to be a good session. I think we're going to get a lot of good things done, and I believe that I know in my caucus we are focused on jobs and the economy and what we can do to make Virginia an even better place in which to work and raise a family. We've done some polling. There are two kinds of polling. There's polling that you get when you knock on doors or talk to people in your neighborhood, and there's polling that you pay somebody to go out and canvass 600 voters around the state. We've done both, and not surprisingly, the economy is by far the largest issue. People are far more concerned about the economy than they are about education or social issues or crime and punishment or whatever. And that's to be expected. The economy is still in a very fragile state. A lot of challenges ahead, and so that's where we want to focus in this session. One of the things that's part of the economy and part of jobs creation that, again, the governor has taken the lead on is K-12 education reform. And he has a very comprehensive package that he and others have been working on for probably 6 months that will make Virginia's kindergarten through 12th grade educational system more accountable, more productive, more just a better program. And it covers everything from teacher accountability to teacher licensure to teacher pay. He's proposed a 2% pay increase, but in addition, we have a proposal for something. You can't call it merit pay because the teachers don't like that, but it's a pay for performance type of program. And I think there's some really good things in the K-12 program that will go a long ways towards helping train the workforce that you all need so badly.